Northern Rebound brings people into the sport. It brings a different culture into the sport. Without them, I would never have got back into it. Like, there's 0% chance.
My name is Martin Cooper. I am the chairperson for Northern Rebound, an LGBTQ+ squash club based in Manchester. And it exists and came about really to create a safe space for LGBTQ+ players to enjoy what we all know is a fabulous sport, and getting people into something at grassroots level where otherwise they might not feel welcome.
So today is the Manchester tournament that is hosted by Northern Rebound Squash Club at the National Squash Centre, which is just amazing. So they've invited squash players from all over the country and Europe and the world, I believe. I think it's an open invite to take part, compete and just have fun really, and like bring people together, especially from the queer community and LGBTQ+ community.
We are a squash club and we're there to encourage anybody who wants to get better at that sport. We're not exclusive to LGBT+ people, we're just a safe space. So anyone can come and play with us regardless of what your background is, as long as you know that we're all different, we're all going to be treated equally. We do have tournaments, we do have some training and coaching sessions and so on, but we're really careful to balance the social aspect with the sport aspect. We want it to be as much fun as it is good exercise and training and learning the sport that people want to come and play.
I'm new to squash. Didn't think this would be something of interest to me or passion, but I played my first squash session and I knew from that moment I was like, I'm gonna like this game. So this is my first tournament and yeah, so far so good.
I started playing when I was about 4 years old, and then when I was about 16 I quit. So I kind of realised I was kind of on the LGBTQ spectrum relatively early. I didn't feel like the community was very for me when I was sort of 16, and I wasn't like fully out yet, and I wasn't really sure what was going on. So I kind of stopped. I was just talking to a friend of mine casually, and she brought up, oh, I'm going to an LGBTQ squash club. And I kind of thought that I wouldn't get back into squash again. I kind of thought that's kind of done now. But yeah, I know, since she mentioned that, I was like, oh, well, there's actually a community around. Without them, I would never have got back into it. Like, there's 0% chance. I think a lot of it is like seeing the way transgender people are covered in sport is quite negative most of the time. It made it quite an intimidating environment to get back into any kind of sport. Without like an LGBTQ space specifically, it would have been way too scary.
I think it's something that applies to kind of most sports and most social clubs really. I think a lot of LGBTQ people feel that perhaps it's not for them, or that they won't get on with the rest of the players at a club, or that they won't be able to fit into that team dynamic because their background or their path to that has been quite different. So sometimes it's necessary to create a space where they just know from the offset that they're going to be treated fairly and equally to everybody else, and that's why LGBT+ groups exist.
Hand out, 3-1.
I think squash can have like an image of being quite older and conservative, maybe like home counties-esque. But yeah, I think having things like Northern Rebound sort of breaks that image down. They make the space comfortable so that I can just sort of be myself and play how I want. Support they provided was just community. It was a space where I could play with people that I felt were like on my wavelength.
often if you're not part of a sub-community or you're not part of a minority group, it's really often quite difficult to understand what the needs of that minority group are.
Most people, 99% of people are very, very nice. But you know, if there's 99 people and then an extra one person that screams at you, that's going to be the focus on what you're worried about. So even though most people are nice, I think before getting into it, I was very scared of like, what if I go, someone has an issue with me? I suppose I just worried about people having a political issue and deciding to sort of bring that up with me, which has never happened. And in the circles that I'm running in around here, with Northern Rebound especially, I don't think it would happen. And if it did, people would be around to support me. But yeah, that's the intimidating part of it, really.
And that's a really delicate conversation throughout most sports, and it feels like there's embers starting to burn around LGBTQ plus people within the sporting world. It's so important for us to make sure that not just LGBT clubs, but all clubs are accepting of any kind of players, just to kind of diffuse that slightly. It could very easily kind of become an out of control topic, this. And it's the same when it comes to accepting any kind of minority group into sports, whether it's people of colour, like I said, or whether it's people with limited abilities or non-neurotypical people and so on. It's just about everybody having a fair shot, everybody having a fair crack of the whip, and not everybody is comfortable to just walk into a social club, and that's not about being in a minority group, that's about an individual preference. What our responsibility is as community leaders is to make sure that we have those facilities there. Those doors aren't closed, they're open, and there's somebody there welcoming people in from whichever walk of life they're in.
As a kid growing up, I played sport, but never really got that involved in it. I'm sure there's multiple reasons why, but what's lovely about Outplay is I feel very comfortable there. I've got lots of friends there. You don't kind of worry about kind of like locker room banter and that kind of stuff, which is really, really nice. And I think what's lovely about today as well is that people can come here and they know it's all set up for LGBT people, which is lovely. Because even in our kind of regular sessions, we're still using kind of gendered bathrooms and stuff like that, which is tough. Whereas obviously today they've taken steps to make sure that everyone feels as most comfortable as possible, which is good. So yeah.
We're always looking to welcome, as I said, more people from subgroups within the LGBTQ community. So we'd love to encourage more trans players, we'd love to encourage more women to come and play with us, for example. Something I'm quite interested in, I'd love to have more people with disabilities or non-neurotypical players coming and playing with us. Something else that we're looking into as well, but just getting bigger and better. The club is just on the up and it just feels great to be a part of that and see where we're heading to. And it's so important to have those pathways open for people just to get them active and get them having fun.
I think spaces like this for LGBTQ plus players is like vital. Sports in general is really, or can be really toxic and you know, difficult and for people from my community to engage with and feel welcome and part of. And so this actually is just such a wonderful experience. Everyone is welcome. There is support from people that you've just met, the support from people that you know from the club, and it's just a great event. It brings people together, and there's just love.